I like to dedicate this to all of the Creator's righteous children. I have some food in my bag for you. Not that edible food, the food you eat. No, I have some food for thought. Since knowledge is infinite, it has infinitely fell on me.
Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm going to be talking about my spirituality. So, growing up, my family grew up Muslim. Now, my parents originally were not Muslim, but in the 70s, like a lot of families, African American families in the 70s, converted to Islam under the Nation of Islam. Now, when I was very little, my siblings had to go to an Islamic school. And that just means that they were taught Islam through the school system, kind of like a Catholic school. And they only lasted there a few years, and then we moved, because they were living in DC at the time, and they moved to Fairfax. So by the time I was born, they had stopped going to Islamic school and started going to public school. So by the time I was born, we only went to the mosque every now and again, and there was a mosque that was located right next to my father's or veterinary clinic that he owned, and so we would go there from time to time. By the time I was around 4 or 5, we had stopped going to the mosque as much. Now, I still celebrated and said Muslim prayers, and still celebrated Ramadan from time to time, and Eid, and all those different things. We would go to my cousin's house for Eid celebrations, and if you don't know what Eid means, it's the holiday that you celebrate right after Ramadan, which is the holy month of fasting, where you eat really early in the morning before the sun comes up, and then you don't eat again or drink any water or anything until the sun goes down. And I used to celebrate that holiday a lot up until I was about 14 years old. And Eid is basically the holiday right after Ramadan, where you have a big feast and you celebrate the ending of Ramadan, and you are thankful for all the blessings that you have in your life. So when I was a little kid, I used to be able to see spirits. Now, that being said, it was hard. It was hard growing up, and I get it from my mom. I get it honestly from my mom, who, when she was a kid, she used to be able to see spirits herself, and I inherited that. And so up until I was about 7 years old, I was able to see spirits a lot. They would come around a lot, and I would just see them everywhere, really, and it was a lot. And I know it's because when you're a little kid, your third eye is super heightened, right? Because you've just come from the spiritual world, and you're a starseed just coming from the spiritual world, and so your third eye is open wide. And so a lot of little kids will be able to see spirits and be able to see different things from different dimensions and different realms. And so, that being said, up until I was around 7 years old, I used to be able to see spirits. I used to be able to see a lot of elemental beings and different things like that. When I was 7 years old, I kind of went through a traumatic experience where there was this guy in my closet, and he wore this big, like, top hat, kind of like Abe Lincoln would wear back in the day, and he sort of freaked me out. And so I got freaked out about that, and it was just like, that was it. So I immediately after that was able to block being able to see them. And for a long time it worked, actually, blocking them out so I wouldn't see spirits anymore. And it really helped me, because I don't think I would have gotten through the rest of elementary school, middle school, or high school if I was still being able to see them. But I was able to block them out, and I didn't actually see a spirit for a really, 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 really long time. So in 2013, I was at Great Falls, which is a place in Virginia, but also in Maryland, because it was cut into because of DC being built. And it's a place where there are these incredibly amazing falls, basically. And so my mom and a lady, we had gone to Great Falls, and different things happened, and we were at this little beach area where there's like sand right here, and then the falls, like water right here. And so we were there, and we were all saying, like, giving offerings to the water, and saying different prayers and different things like that. And um, during all of that, during my mom and me and the lady saying different things and saying different prayers and such, a spirit actually jumped into me, which I know you're gonna say possession's not real, but sadly it is. And it could be good possession, and there can be bad possession. There's good and bad in everything. But in this instance, it was not good. It was really, really bad, and I ended up in the hospital because of it. And I ended up in the hospital because of this. And when I was in the hospital, I had the worst headache of life. Like, think of having a migraine, but 10 times worse. It was so bad. I was throwing up. I had the worst headache I've ever had in my entire life. And I was just in miserable pain. The reason being was that whatever spirit had jumped into my body, I was feeling however they had ended up dying. So however they had ended up dying, I was feeling it in my body. And I was taking in all of the pain. And it was the worst experience ever. Like, I don't wish that on my worst enemy. It was so terrible. So after that, I started getting inklings of hearing spirits and a little bit of seeing, like, orbs and such. And I've been able to see orbs my whole life. Like, even when I stopped seeing spirits after I was 7, I'd still been able to see, like, orbs. And sometimes I would hear little whispers here and there of spirits, but, like, nothing like when I was a little kid. And so I started feeling things and a little bit seeing things and hearing things, and I got a little freaked out again, and I didn't necessarily want to be able to see them. Because, see, the thing is that if you're able to see spirits, or you're able to hear spirits, or you can feel things, or whatever, you're gonna feel them. You're gonna see them, you're gonna feel them. And so it is what it is. You can't really escape it. Like, you can block it out for as long as possible, but eventually they're gonna come back, and your sight is gonna come back, and you're gonna be able to see it again, or hear it again, or feel it again. It's gonna happen. Like, if you're able to do it, you can do it. You know what I mean? And so that happened, and that freaked me out. And so I kind of didn't know how I felt about being able to see them anymore. And so I kind of blocked them out again because, but I do hear stuff, and sometimes, feel things from time to time, but, like, nothing like when I was a kid. And sometimes I get scared. Like, I think the reason I don't want to see things and hear things and feel things right now is because it freaks me out. It's like, it freaks me out. Like, I don't know how to, like, I don't really know how to handle them. I mean, I know how to put the white light of protection around me so that I don't, like, bad things don't happen to me. And I know how to do, like, certain things and, have protection. That's why I wear this bag around my neck all the time, because it has different crystals and prayers and rocks and stuff that are, like, protection for me, because I need to be protected. And also another thing is people's energy, like, people that you don't know, or people that are too clingy, their energy can jump onto you, and whether they're in a good mood or a bad mood, they can jump onto you. And so you always need to be able to put the white light of protection around you, which, if you don't know what that means, it's just basically imagining a white light bubble around your whole body. And that basically is keeping you in that bubble, so that if anything jumps on you or anything, you are protected by that bubble. But, like, I don't know how I feel about, all of that. And so it freaks me out. And so I think that's why I keep blocking it out and not really wanting to see it, because my mom's, she's very, very, very heightened right now. And, she can, what you would say is psychic, or we don't call it that, but she like gets downloads from the spirit world, and she can like if somebody asks her something, she can just tap into the spirits and they will tell her whatever it is that the person needs to know. And it's really cool, but like I don't think I want to do that. I'm nervous about it. And I think that I've had some traumatic experiences in my life to be nervous about the whole thing, and I don't really know how I want to feel about it. But I don't want this whole post to be gloom and doom and sad and whatever. I want it to be sort of, um, just a teaching moment. So on my blog, I did a post about indigos, which if you want to go check that out, it's ICE, turtlegirl.wordpress.com. And you can go check out that blog post about indigos. But basically, an indigo is a person with heightened senses and who are able to see spirits or able to see people's aura colors, which I'm able to see people's aura colors. Not as well as I used to when I was a kid, but definitely still able to see them. Who are sensitive to people's energies, who can hear spirits, who can just different things like that. And so they are considered indigo kids because they are very special, right? And basically back in the 60s, some lady came up with the term. And basically I think that indigo kids and indigo spirits have been around since the beginning of time, and that indigenous communities all over the world have basically thought of indigo kids in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion, but they might not have called them indigos. And so, but yeah, I consider myself an indigo child, and I think that I think that having a spirituality is important, and I think that it is important even if you don't believe in God to have some type of spiritual practice, spiritual belief, whether that means that you do meditation or yoga, or you have special songs that mean a lot to you, that speak to you, or that you whatever makes you feel connected to a higher something, whether that is the creator, God, Allah, whatever you want to call that, the goddess, like whatever you want to call them. So I'm going to tell you about my spiritual practices and what I do to feel spiritually connected. So, and I need to get back into some of these practices, but when I was a kid, I used to do these things a lot. But something that I downloaded a while ago onto my phone was the Breathe app. And basically, it's a meditation app. And it gives you options of learning to meditate, a list of meditations, and then your progress. So if you've been meditating a while, you can see how your progress has been going. I try to meditate during the morning, so I will wake up in the morning and then do like a 5 to 6 minute meditation, and then get up and start my day. And it actually really makes me feel amazing. Like 2 weeks ago, I was doing a lot of meditation, right? And I was doing more meditation. I was getting up in the morning and I was doing my 6 minute meditation, and I was feeling it, and it was great, and I was feeling great today. And then last week I didn't do it and I felt crummy. And I realized that I need to really be able to do more with my spiritual practices, because the more spiritual practices that I do, the better I feel. And so I definitely recommend getting the Stop, Breathe, and Think app onto your phone. If you have an iPhone, I'm not sure if they have it on Android, but they probably do. But I recommend that. And so meditation is one. I do want to get into yoga, but I haven't gotten into it yet. But I think yoga is a really good practice to do. It's good for exercise, but it's also good for keeping your body flexible and your mind clear. So I feel like that's a good thing to do. And what else? I burn sage from time to time and clear out my room, which the way that you do it is if you want to clear out a room that and you're inside, or clear out your aura, like you can smudge yourself and that just basically clears your aura. Or you can smudge a room, but if you smudge a room, you need to smudge the room and then open your windows so that all the negative or pent up energy from the room can go out, and then you close your windows. I burn incense from time to time. That's mostly for smell, but it can also be really nice, for your room to give your room good vibes. And I also have an altar in my room, and I have different crystals, some sage, rocks, different like statues and things, and prayers, and different, things like that on my altar. And I actually have a prayer on there that my mom did a couple of weeks ago when there was the hunter's moon. I actually have that on there. And I have some sage and some Palo Santo and some incense that one of my big brothers, Hedda, gave me. And I have that big altar, and I will sit. So it's like here, and here's my bed. And so I will get down off my bed and like take a pillow and sit there and meditate with it right there. And it's really cool. And like I said, I have this pouch, which is called a medicine bag. Or I have heard this little girl, I was at a gathering, and this little girl was there, and she looked at my bag, and she was like, oh, you have a life bag? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, that's cool. And I was like, I never heard somebody call it a life bag before, but I think a life bag is cool too. So you can call it like a medicine bag, which is what the Native Americans call it, or like a life bag, or whatever you want to call it. But I have one of these, and I wear it all the time. It's really important to me, and it keeps me very like grounded and makes me feel very secure and stuff. And so I wear this grounded and makes me feel very secure and stuff. And so I wear this, and but I also what else? A show I would recommend, which you can probably find it on YouTube or some kind of online place, but a show I recommend that would teach you a little bit more about the things that I went through as a kid and what other kids go through every day is a show called Psychic Kids. And basically in Psychic Kids, it's about a psychic called Chip Coffey, and he has him and a psychologist, a child psychologist, who they both will find out about a child who is going through a spiritual experience where they are seeing spirits. And the parents don't know what to do about it. The kid's all dramatic and can't deal with it. And it's to the point where they have to get out of school. They have to be homeschooled. It's scaring them at night. It's creepy. And so Chip Coffey will find out about them, come to their house, find out about the spirits they're seeing, and then they will meet other kids, and then they will go to a place that is full of spirits, and Chip Coffey will, because he's a psychic too, he will take them through a process where he helps them overcome whatever it is plaguing them with the spirits. And it's a really, really good show. It used to come on A&E, I think. I think that's a channel, A&E. And it's a really, really good show. If you ever have a kid that's psychic, you should definitely check out that show and listen to some of the things that he says, because it's really important that you watch that. I think it's great. This is just a quick video on my spirituality and some of my spiritual practices. I will hopefully make another video soon on more of my spiritual practices and what I do, and different artists that I listen to that are very spiritual, and different indigos, and yeah. So I hope you like this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you have any comments about anything and you're wondering things, or you are going through this yourself, please do not hesitate to leave a comment down below. I will leave some resources for you in the description box below. Yeah, so I'm out. Have a nice rest of your day. Peace and blessings. And yeah, but